let's move to the last contribution, which will be given by Jan Cermak. And the title of his presentation is Proton Irradiation, Hardness of Glass and Polymer Substrates for Solar Cells.
Thank you, Harald, for the introduction. Good afternoon to everybody. In the next few minutes, I will talk about the degradation of materials for photovoltaics after irradiation by protons. It is a result of collaboration of various laboratories from different countries. And we first met at the meetings of the StableNextSol cross-section. We did the initial discussions. We also used the short and scientific missions, that tool provided by the cross-section. And let's say that while the cross-section is going to be finished very soon, our collaboration seems to be continue for the next few years. Therefore, at this moment, let me express my thanks to Monica for leading such a nice and fruitful action. The motivation for our work is the fact that for the space missions, the photovoltaic electricity is the key source of powering. And the novel photovoltaics being processable on the very thin and flexible substrate seems to be a very promising candidate for such purpose, as they are not only lightweight, but being flexible, they can also withstand the vibrations and any shocks during the rocket launch. However, anything that goes to the universe needs to face a very harsh environment that includes also bombardment by high-energy particles. And at the low Earth orbit, the protons and electrons are the most relevant ones. Obviously, we did not send anything into the universe. Instead, the colleagues in Romania irradiated the samples by the accelerator by protons with a dose that is equivalent to 30 years of operation at the Earth orbit. Similar tests has been performed on the finished perovskite solar cells in the last 1 or 2 years. However, such experiment, from our point of view, is very difficult in such configuration. It's difficult to identify which particular part of the solar cell, which layer, is responsible for the observed phenomena. Therefore, we started to study the materials individually. We started with the substrate materials. We picked quite cheap soda-lime glass, a little bit more expensive boroaluminosilicate glass, we'll call it Eagle, and as a flexible substrate, we've chosen very common PET foil, polyethylene terephthalate foil. The substrates were tested either bare, but also with the indium tin oxide coating. The samples were characterized by various characterization techniques, and the results were compared to the results obtained on the untreated samples, on the pristine ones. Such a set of techniques provided us with plenty of data. I will not present all of them. I will focus on the major ones that are the most relevant for applications. So that is, in the case of glasses, for both types of glasses, we observed increase in absorption. And also in the case of soda-lime glass, we could see that the surface, here is the image of the by atomic force microscopy, there are created some microcracks. We think that are the result of the local heating of the irradiated area. They are not present in the case of the Eagle glass, most probably because this type of glass has a higher thermal expansion coefficient. It was a little bit worse with the polymer foil. Even with our naked eye, we can see that the irradiated area turns yellow to brown, which corresponds to a very huge increase in absorption. We could see some differences in the terahertz spectroscopy. when trying to measure the Raman spectroscopy, we faced the problem of a huge photoluminescence background. At first, we couldn't even see the Raman bands, so this line was captured after several optimizations. To say it modestly, the PET foil exhibits some stability problems when facing the protons. But the story in the whole is not that bad. There are also the positive findings, and that is the indium tin oxide coating. Indium ITO seems to be really resistant to the irradiation. Here are the AFM images before and after irradiation. And for each of the material tested, it is the same before and after. By the way, it's very nice to see that not every ITO is the same. That on every sample, any material, it looks quite differently as to the morphology, most probably due to the different preparation techniques and maybe post-processing. We tested also the work function as measured by Kelvin proof force microscopy, and it showed that the work function of ITO is changed just minimally, and it should not influence the photovoltaic operation of the device to any extent. What is even more important is that the degradation observed on the bare materials, like the increase in absorption, the coloring, and so on, is quite reduced in the presence of ITO coating. Therefore, we may claim that the ITO is not only conductive coating, but it works also as a protection. That is actually the final thing I would like to say. They are the conclusions. Protons are quite dangerous to the tested materials. Eagle XG glass seems to be the highly resistive. PET foil at its bare form is very damaged by protons, but ITO coating might help a lot. My poster was number 11. It's not hanging anymore, but if you are interested, feel free to contact me on email, or you may wait a few days until the status of our paper changed from submitted to accepted. Thank you for your attention.
Congratulations. So there are other short questions. Oh.
Thank you. This irradiation on ITO, was it ITO side or is it the polymer side that was facing the proton?
We tried both.
And in both cases it was?
In both cases it works as a protection, quite surprisingly. But obviously if you could coat the sample from both sides, it will be the best.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
There was some more question over there. I asked a question on my way. How would Gorilla Glass Generation 4 would be protecting from the protons?
Once again, please, I didn't get it.
You didn't get it?
No.
I'll say it in a moment again.
You mentioned that there was a thermal damage on the soda lime glass. Mm-hmm. What would be the thermal profile that you would envisage happening at the surface?
I don't actually know what you mean by the thermal profile, but as to the literature, the irradiated area under almost similar conditions, there the temperature is elevated by 50 kelvins.
Thank you.
Still some questions in this corner? No? Now, I was asking if you know what's the difference between this Eagle XG and Gorilla 4 glass.
No, I don't.
Just for fun. Okay. Then, yeah, let's thank the speaker again and all the speakers.